How would you summarize the NCAA's punishment of Michigan football?
Ooh, that's a good question, Dan. I would summarize it as, uh, I guess it depends on who you ask, Dan. If you ask Michigan people, right, they say it was too hard and the penalties financially are too stiff, and that's probably a point of why they're appealing, right? If you ask everybody else in college football and college sports, they'll say it was way, way too light, right? The NCAA should have given Michigan a postseason ban, and they should have vacated wins in championships, and they should have added more suspension and penalties to the current head football coach, Sharon Moore. I think what the NCAA did, and they're starting to move away from the vacated wins, right? They're starting to move away from postseason bans because it penalizes sort of innocent players that are currently on the team and future players that will be on the team. So they're kind of moving away from that. So they're just substituting these financial penalties, for the postseason ban. And if you look at the full penalties, the cumulative penalties, financial penalties, it's going to be over $30 million and probably as much as 35, $37 million. I mean, that is a historic penalty that you just never seen anything like it. And I know it's easy to sort of roll your eyes at they have a lot of money and they can pay it. We're in an age of athlete compensation where everybody's going to be paying $20 million to their athletes starting this year. So I don't think it's anything necessarily to roll the eyes at. I think it was a pretty significant penalty, but it's probably not what most people believed that they deserved. And I think, and I'll say one more thing about that, Dan, is that if the NCAA, which was tipped off in October 2023, in the middle of that season, that 2023 season was tipped off to this sign stealing, took a few days to start to really vet it, realized it was real, and then alerted the Big Ten, who then suspended Jim Harbaugh those 3 games. If that doesn't happen and they don't suspend and the Big Ten doesn't decide to suspend Jim Harbaugh, the NCAA doesn't alert the Big Ten to this, Michigan probably does get vacated wins and maybe even gets a postseason ban.
Wait, explain why.
I think the fact that you sort of dealt with it immediately during that season. I think there's a thought that the 3 games that the head coach was suspended in you remember he was suspended, I think 2 or 3 games earlier that season too for a separate investigation. The fact that they immediately took action, um, you know, and I think Charlie Baker said this after they won the championship, is that you can't argue that they won it sort of fair and square, something like that. And part of the reason he said that is because of that 3 game suspension for Jim Harbaugh. It's like we dealt with it then, right? We dealt with it there. And I think the Committee on Infractions took that under consideration. And if that wouldn't have happened, I just have a belief that that championship would have been in jeopardy of being vacated.